Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Kuf Lamed Aleph Amud Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. After the Mishnah had taught us Rabbi Eliezer's shita in regards to Mila is not only is the Mila itself Doiches HaShabbos, but all of the things that surround the Bris Mila, the Machshirei Mitzvahs Mila, also is Doiches HaShabbos. Now, after the Gemara had spent much time explaining various mitzvahs that Rabbi Eliezer learns that those things are not only the mitzvah but the machshirim of the mitzvah that are doiches Shabbos, we turn back to our focus of Mila itself. Ask the Gemara, Mila v'chol machshira doiches HaShabbos. Rabbi Eliezer says that Mila and it's all of its machshir and all the things that surround it are doiches HaShabbos. Ask the Gemara, Minole Rabbi Eliezer ha? Where does Rabbi Eliezer know that indeed this is so? Imikulo Gomar, if it's from the other things that we had mentioned, all the things of shofar and lulav and so on. So that Kedam Rinon, we explained there's a chumrah in each and one of these things that we can't learn out as a ma mitzinu, as a dugma, a paradigm. We call a binyan av for everything else. V'oid, and further, ma lahanoch shekain im ovar zmana botla. When it comes to all of the other things, so shofar is dafka on Rosh Hashanah. If the zman passes, one cannot mekayim the mitzvah shofar. So too when it comes to lulav and matzah, etc. When it comes to bris milah, granted the mitzvah is on the 8th day, but if he did not mekayim the mitzvah on the 8th day, it's no longer valid if he still is going to then mekayim it on the 9th day or so on. And therefore you cannot learn out, he says, from the other ones to milah. We're on top of Kuf Lamed Beis and Aleph. Elo hainu taimod Rabbi Eliezer. The reason for Rabbi Eliezer is the Omar Kro. It states in the following posuk: Ubayom hashmini yimol bosar ar losoi. It says in regards to Mila, on this 8th day, he will then mal the orla. Vafilu b'Shabbos, mashma, even on Shabbos, because as the Gemara will explain, in regards to Mila itself, that we learn from somewhere else. So why did it say the superfluous bayom? Bayom comes to teach me, bayom even is going to be on Shabbos. V'lichtoiv rechmono b'mila v'leisu hanach v'ligmar minei. Ask the Gemara, then let's just have the Torah right, b'mila, that not only is the mitzvah mila doiches HaShabbos, but the bayom comes to teach me that even the machshirei mitzvah of Mila is doiches HaShabbos. So therefore, why not learn out everything from that? As a binyan av. Answers the Gemara, Mishum, the Ika lemifrak, because you can ask the following pircha. Ma lemila sheken nichrosoi alea sholosh esrei brisois. Because in regards to the mitzvah Mila, it states the Mila, the bris 13 times. And therefore that shows the significance and the uniqueness of the mitzvah of Mila, whereby you cannot learn out to other mitzvahs. Says the Gemara, now that we have spoken about machshirei mitzvahs Mila is doiches HaShabbos, but what about mitzvah Mila itself? Where is the source that Mila itself is doiches HaShabbos? Says the Gemara, ad kan loy pligi Rabbanan le ela machshirei Mila. Until now, the Rabbanan are only arguing with Rabbi Eliezer. That's the shita that we saw Rabbi Akiva in our Mishnah in regards to machshirei Mila. But says the Gemara, aval Mila gufa divrei akol doiches Shabbos. But everybody agrees that the mitzvah of Mila is doiches Shabbos. What's the source for that? Minolan asked the Gemara. Omar Ula halacha. Ula says the halacha l'Moshe Sinai. V'chein Om Rabbi Yitzchak halacha. Also Rabbi Yitzchak similarly says it's a halacha l'Moshe Sinai. Ask the Gemara if indeed that bris Mila is doiches Shabbos because it's a halacha l'Moshe Sinai meisvei. Minayin lepikuach nefesh doiches HaShabbos. Where do we know that pikuach nefesh, by saving a life, one's life on Shabbos, is mutter? Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah oimer, Ma mila shi achas me'evorov shel odom doiches HaShabbos kal v'chomer lepikuach nefesh doiches HaShabbos. So Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah tells us there's a kal v'chomer here. He says that if a person can be can do bris milah, which is doiches HaShabbos, which is only one tikkun, it's one eva that you're misakin, then when you're misakin the entire goof, by being mefakech es hanefesh on Shabbos, certainly then you can be pokech, you can do pikuach nefesh on Shabbos, is doiches Shabbos. Now, ask the Gemara, if that kal v'chomer is so, that we're going to use the kal v'chomer from bris milah onto pikuach nefesh, then the halacha, if you're going to say that the source itself for bris milah is halacha l'moshe misinai, then that's not going to be a valid kal v'chomer. You can't make a kal v'chomer on a halacha moshe misinai. Kal v'chomer b'halacha mi'osi. V'hatanya, the Gemara now proves that you cannot make a kal v'chomer on a, which is based on a halacha l'moshe misinai. V'hatanya, it says in the Brisa, ha'amar lo Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar says, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah says, or Rabbi Eliezer, depending on the girsa, says, Akiva, referring to Rabbi Akiva, etzem kisa'ara mitame halacha revis dam kal v'chomer. You're going to learn that when it comes to a etzem of a sa'ara, that itself is going to mitame the nazir, and that will make the nazir then start his count over again. And you're saying that that's a halacha l'moshe misinai. Then revi's dam kal v'chomer, meaning to say, if the etzem of a sa'ara, you're saying Rabbi Akiva is something that's mitame the oihel hames, that's enough to mitame the oihel hames, and etzem kisa'ara. So therefore, that will then have the strength to then also mitame the nazir. Then we should say, then kal v'chomer revi's dam, which certainly is going to then make a tumas oil hames, certainly should also then require the nazir to then recount from the beginning of Nazirus, because it's metamehim. Ve'ein danin kal v'chomer mehalacha, and he says to Rabbi Akiva, but we do not make a kal v'chomer from a halacha l'moshe misinai, and therefore we see this principle that you cannot now by us make a kal v'chomer from bris milah. If bris milah was indeed a halacha l'moshe misinai, it must be that bris milah is not based on halacha l'moshe misinai. Elam Rabbi Elazar states, Osya ois ois, not Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, but Rabbi Elazar the Amora now says, rather it's ois ois, the source for where we know bris milah is doiches HaShabbos, because it says ois in two places. It says ois in regards to Shabbos, it says ois in regards to bris milah. As follows, the pasuk says in regards to bris milah, unmaltem es besar or loschem v'hayala ois bris beini uveinechem. In regards to Shabbos, it also says ois tzili oilam. Elo me'ato, ask the Gemara, if you're going to learn out a gzera shavra of ois, teaching me that milah is doiches HaShabbos, then tefillin dichsi bohen ois litchi Shabbos. Tefillin also, it's in the pasuk ois. It says in ois beinei necho. You put in it says there will be an ois referring to the tefillin. And if that's going to be then the gzera shava, then make the gzera shava to Shabbos as well and say that tefillin is doicha Shabbos, and we know it's not. Elo asya bris. Rather, it's a gzera shava of the word bris, which is found both in Shabbos as well as in bris milah. It states, as the pasuk we said before, Maltan is basar loschem vayilachol lo'ois bris beinu beinechem. In regards to Shabbos, it says it's a bris beinu beinechem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, "V'shom nisil sa Shabbos." It says bris oilam. It says bris oilam. So then the Gemara says, "Godol dichsiv be bris." And we know, by the way, that indeed it's not doiche Shabbos. Sorry. So then we're saying, therefore, that the gzer shava, the limud, where we do know that indeed bris is doiches HaShabbos from these words bris as a gzer shava. Ask the Gemara, Godol dichsi be bris litche Shabbos. When somebody who was a Godol, now he's 13 years old, he didn't yet have a bris milah. So then you should say it's not milah bismana, but since it says bris, so therefore you should also then permit that bris milah to be done on Shabbos, and yet it's not. Ela asya darois. Rather, the two words which are found both in Shabbos and in bris milah, darois, is what teaches me that indeed you can make a bris milah and doiche es HaShabbos. In the pasuk it says, in regards to bris milah, it says, "V'chei uben shmonas yomim yimo lochem kol zachar ledoroseichem v'goymer." And it says in regards to Shabbos, the pasuk that we had brought before, "V'shomer b'nei Yisrael Shabbos lasses Shabbos ledoroisam bris olam." So we're left with the gzer shava of doros. Ask the Gemara, if that's so, then the tzitzis, in regards to the mitzvah tzitzis, dichsi be doros litchi Shabbos, there it also says doros, and it says al kanfe bigdehem ledoroisom, and that should also be doiches Shabbos. And we know it's not, because that was in fact taught to us earlier that tzitzis is not doiches Shabbos. Elo Omar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchok danin ois bris v'doros me danin ois bris v'doros me ois bris v'doros. Rather, there's three words that we're making a gzer shava from. Both of these three words are found in regards to Shabbos and are also found in regards to bris milah. These three words that we mentioned of ois, bris, and doros, all three of them makes this gzer shava. This comes to exclude the earlier things that we had mentioned. For example, tzitzis or tefillin, where they only have one of these words, but not all three of them, making the gezerah shava. That's one opinion where we know that mitzvahs milah is doiches hashabbos, and that's the opinion of Rabbi Elazar that we learn out from this gezerah shava of ois, bris, and doros. Rabbi Yochanan learns another way where we learn out that mitzvahs milah is doiches hashabbos. Omar Kro, it says in the pasuk bayoim, in the pasuk that we had quoted originally, bayom hashmini. So he says the word bayoim, teaching bayoim, afilu b'Shabbos, even when that day comes out to be on Shabbos, then that day is going to that bris milah is going to be doiches hashabbos. Omar le Reish Lakish Rabbi Yochanan, Reish Lakish asked Rabbi Yochanan, if that's so, that you can darshan the word bayoim, then ela me'ata mechisure kapara, those who are lacking kapara, like a mitzara, a zava, dechsibuhu bayom, it's written also in regards to them, bayom. Then hochanami didachu Shabbos, then they should be able to bring a carbon on Shabbos, which we know they're not. Only a carbon tzibur is doiches hashabbos, like a carbon talmid, but a personal carbon is not doiches hashabbos. Answers Rabbi Yochanan, Hahumi boile bayoim v'lo balayla. No, there it's necessary to teach bayoim and not at night, and that's why you won't have to then say that it's doiches hashabbos. Hainami mi boile bayom v'lo balayla. Ask the Gemara Rabbi Yochanan, but still, after all, in regards to bris milah, if you're going to use the word bayoim, so then you could say bayom is coming to teach me balayla, not bayom afilu b'Shabbos. Answers Rabbi Yochanan, Hahu mi ben shmonas yomim nafka. That we already know by yom and not balayla when it says in the pasuk shmonas yomim, a different pasuk. Hainami mi bayom tzavoso nafka. Ask the Gemara though, in regards to the mechusar kapara, we also have another pasuk, and that pasuk says bayom tzavoso, and therefore they were left with saying that they should be doiche the Shabbos with the carbon of the mechusar kapara. Answers the Gemara, Avagav the nafka mi bayom tzavoso it's tricha. Rabbi Yochanan says it's true. There's another pasuk of bayom tzavoso which teaches me that as well, that it's the day and not the night. However, we still need that pasuk, and it's not superfluous because since since the Torah has compassion to allow a person who's mechusar kapar to bring a carbon if he is poor, to bring a carbon from a bird as opposed to from an animal, from a behema. So balayla nami leisi, I might think then at night also the mechusar kapar can bring at night. Kamash malan, therefore we need the bayom teaching me specifically that it's dafka b'day and not at night. Maski for Ravina asked, if that's so, elameyato yehi zar kosher bohen, v'yei oinen kosher bohen. If you're going to tell me that indeed that we're being chas on the mechusar kapara, then you should also allow other differences that are not normally allowed, like a zar bringing the carbon, and a oinen who's not normally able to bring a carbon and do the avodah, let them also do the avodah. Says the Gemara, no, ha hadre kro. Once it tells me that indeed it's going back to saying that it's no longer chas, but rather by yoim tzavoso, it comes to be day and not night, it also comes to be all of the other requirements are also required here as well. That's the second opinion that we have found, that Mila is Doicha Shabbos. The first one was Rabbi Elazar, who said that it's a Gzeira Shava. And the second one we just learned was Rabbi Yochanan, that says that indeed we learn from the word Bayoim. Rav Acha Bar Yaakov Omar, a third Mahalich. Omar Kro Shmini. It says in the post that we quoted initially, Bayom HaShmini Yimol Besar or Losoi, Shmini Afilu B'Shabbos, the 8th day, even when that 8th day comes out to be on Shabbos, Doicha Es HaShabbos. Hi Shmini mi boile limuute shvi, frek the Gemara, but the fact that it says the 8th day comes to exclude the 7th day. That can't be before the 8th. Shvi mi ben shmonas yomim nafka. That we have from the pasuk of mi ben shmonas yomim, that we know that it's not the 7th day. Ask the Gemara, but still vakati mi boile chad limuute shvi vechad limuute tshi. We need one pasuk to teach me that it's not the 7th day, and one pasuk to teach me not the 9th day, but it's the 8th day that's Doiches HaShabbos. The imechad, if I only had one, hava amina, shvi hu deloy mata zimne. That's only the 7th day because the time has not yet come. It's not yet 8. So before that cannot be doiches HaShabbos and give the bris milah. But after the 8th day, maybe I'll say it is zmana. Kamash malon, we need both to teach me to exclude the 7th and also exclude the 9th. It has to be dafka b'yom hashmini. Elo mechavartek de Rabbi Yochanan. Rather, it's now clear like Rabbi Yochanan, who learned that pasuk bayom hashmini to teach me bayoim afilu b'Shabbos, and not like that which we explain now, according to Rav Achar Bar Yaakov. Tanya kavos Rabbi Yochanan v'lo Rav Achar Bar Yaakov. The Gemara now brings a brayso that supports Rabbi Yochanan. Shmini yimor. It says in the pasuk, the 8th day he shall give a bris milah. Afilu b'Shabbos, says the Brisa, even on Shabbos. Uma ani mekayim mechalemos yumas. If so, what do I do with the pasuk that says one who desecrates the Shabbos is chayiv misa? And here, l'chara, it's a desecration because after all, he's doing a chabola on Shabbos, which is netilas neshama. B'shar malachos chut mi mila. We can learn the pasuk of mechalemos yumas is talking about all other malachos, the exclusion of bris milah. Oi, that's one side, or eino elo afilu mila, or maybe it includes the mila that is also considered to be a chilul Shabbos. Umani mekayim shmini yimol. So what do I do with the pasuk shmini yimol? Chutz mi Shabbos, to exclude Shabbos. When the 8th day comes out, when it's not Shabbos, then one is chayiv to do a bris milah. But if it's not Shabbos, not. Talmud lomer bayoim. Therefore, the pasuk says bayoim, like Rabbi Yochanan said, afilu b'Shabbos. Omar Rava asked the following question on this brisa: Hai Tana mi kara my kanichale ulvasof my kakoshile. What was the initial understanding of the Tana of this brisa, that he understood that bris milah could be doiches HaShabbos, and therefore when it says that mechalel Shabbos most yumas, it's referring to other malacha but not bris milah. And what did he then think in the second side, that he then changed his tune to say that it's coming to then include Shabbos, and that would be considered to be a chilul Shabbos if one does the bris milah on Shabbos? So what was the change over of the Tana in this brisa? Answers the Gemara to explain. Hachi ka'omar. This is what he said. Shmini yimol. It says the 8th day you shall perform a bris milah. Afilu b'Shabbos, even on the 8th day. Umani mekayim mechalemos yumas. B'shar malachos. Chutz mi milah. Ava milah dachya. Then the pasuk that says Michalel Mos Yumas, that's going on all other malachos, not the malacha of bris milah. My taima. What was the rationale? What was the reason why this is so? Kal v'chomer, because he had a kal v'chomer. As follows: Umat tzaras shedoiches ha'avoda. If a person has tzaras, is doiches ha'avoda. That means to say, let's say a person who has tzaras, he needs to bring a korban pesach. So he doesn't bring a korban pesach, even though he's mechuyev to bring korban pesach, because of the tzaras, he's not able to do so. It's doiches ha'avoda. We're on top of Kuf Lamed Beis, Amud Beis. Va'avoida doiches haShabbos. And avoida is doiches Shabbos. So we have, tzaras is doiches avoida. And avoida, when it's a carbon of the tzibur, like a carbon tamid, for example, is doiches haShabbos. Mila doiche oisa. Mila is doiche tzaras. Because if a person, there's tzaras on the place where the bris milah has to be done, so then it's cut out. Because Mila is doiche tzaras. Shabbos shenidche mipnei avoida. And we know that Shabbos is pushed aside because of avoida. Like we said, because of the carbon. So therefore, we have a kal v'chomer. If that's so, then eino din shetei Mila doiches oisa. Then certainly Mila should be doiches haShabbos to the kal v'chomer. Because again, tzaras is doiche avoida. And Mila is doiche tzaras. So certainly Mila should be doiche Shabbos if tzaras is doiche Shabbos. Umay oi eino dekamar. So what was the oi eino that he said in the brisa, that he changed his tune? What caused him to change and backpedal to say otherwise? Hodar omar, this is what he went back and he said, umemai de tzaras chamura. Who says that tzaras indeed is considered to be more stringent? Dilma Shabbos chamur. Maybe Shabbos is more stringent than tzaras. In other words, the whole kal v'chomer was based on the fact that tzaras, which is so chamur, right? Certainly then, and that's right. Certainly, if that's going to be then doiche, then certainly then and Mila is doiche tzaras, and then certainly then Mila should be doiche Shabbos. Who says that really tzaras is more chamur than Shabbos? Maybe Shabbos is more chamur than tzaras, more chamur. Shekain yesh bo oinshin v'azaros harbe, because Shabbos has many oinshin. Many times that it's many psukim that are stated about the oinshin. It's the most chomer type of oinish, of skila. And who says that tzaras in itself is a chumrah that one cannot cut out the tzaras? In other words, that's so chomer that's doiches es avoida. That itself is in question. Who says that tzaras is doiches avoida? The actual tzaras, the cutting out of the tzaras, is doiches Shabbos. Dilma mishum gavra. Maybe because the gavra, the one who has the tzaras, is not fitting to then do the avoida. He has to then be toiv on the mikvah. So it has nothing to do really cutting out the tzaras. So the whole kal v'chomer is really weak, is really problematic. And that's the second side of this Tana. Umani mekayim shmini yimol. And therefore, what do I do to mekayim shmini yimol? He says, chutz mishabbos. That was what he was suggesting in the alternative explanation. Talmud Lamer, then finally he brings the pasuk like Rabbi Yochanan said before. Bayoim afilu b'Shabbos. That when the 8th day comes out, bayoim, it means even on Shabbos, that he's going to then perform the bris milah because it's doiches haShabbos.